for our African men, are we as romantic as to our African ladies than we are to the Caucasian ladies?
This is not my personal experience because I know I'll treat everyone the same, but I would say that the Caucasian girls make it known that they want you to be romantic. They need it. They'll become miserable after a couple of days if you don't bring those flowers or stuff. But a sister shoulders it. They don't really come out like that with their emotion and stuff until you're really out of control. A sister will always, whether she knows they're very understanding, unless you really treat them badly before they say something. I think that's the difference.
We were raised in a certain way in Africa, in Nigeria. We were raised in a certain way. There's this Africanness that generally excludes that kind of thing. I agree with Indy 100%. A black girl will want to,
Pose.
You should know, he should know. How would he know?
No, yeah.
The man would only know what he was taught, what he saw growing up. That's all he'll know. He can't know what he has not seen, what he has not heard, what nobody has mentioned, So that softness that the lady brings, and she tells him, I like this, do this, I like this. And as long as you both are on the same whatever, you're doing well as a couple, he'll begin to learn and he'll begin to do those things.
I agree with the point you made, where African women, we should be more outcoming, we should be more outspoken with our emotions, because I don't think we're if you look at the general, not population, but look at most people in Africa are not brought up in that way where you show your emotions while you're doing lovey-dovey, as you said. Very, very few families that have that. Like some families, I think I was seeing something, someone sent me something on Twitter where she sent her dad, Daddy, I love you, and if the dad replied back, God bless you. or are you okay? Or something where it's hard for African parents to say I love you. So I think they pass those things on to
the children.
So it's hard. Sometimes we don't communicate as much as we should.
And there are instances where both the girl and the guy have come from that kind of background, or maybe they're married now and they've started a life of their own, and they've decided that this is how we want our own life to be. They didn't have it from both families. They didn't have that. They didn't know that, but they've seen it happening and they like it. So they decided we will build our lives like this. So it now changes from then on, So we learn. We all learn.
I mean, this generation tell their kids they love them.
Yeah,
it's changing. So romance in a family goes a long way. We don't just come out with emotions, especially the ones from Africa. So, but it's coming out. I'm seeing it in families. So, if you want romance or whatever you want from your man, you need to let him know, because they wouldn't think you need it. They don't think you want it if you don't say it.
It's as much as love conquers all. I think we should also think about our duty as Black people, as Black race, the duties that we have towards ourselves. I remember last week we did a program about Black businesses, and it was useful for me actually. And you were touching on the topic of supporting each other. I think marriage is another way of doing so, of keeping the wealth home. And we've seen so many cases of celebrities that have married outside of their race and end up losing everything. And we can't help as Black women to feel that if you would have stayed with us, at least that money, it goes to the Black people. Exactly. I mean, it stays within our race and therefore helps to develop the Black economy.
Marriage is not a business transaction, though. So, and
why do you think marriage
and the proportion of people who marry from a different race to those who stick with their race, it's not that.
No, but if you look at that, if you look at the people who are very wealthy, you look at the
I
percentage of
think,
people who are very wealthy, I would say
yeah,
about 50% marry out of the race. That look at the top 1%.
exactly. They keep the wealth home. And I disagree with you when you talk about marriage is not about business. It's not entirely a business transaction. But if you go back to the history of marriage, particularly in a Western society, it's an economic thing. It was a thing where two people come together to build
That's
the
history. That's history, Cordelia. Is that how it is today?
so historically, we cannot go away from that. We might be marrying now for love, but don't forget it wasn't like that before.
I think I'll give it back to NDO to give us his final words.
Most of these men, lose out on a lot of money because of doing silly things. And we're missing the point of that, because when you get married to somebody, you have to be smart, you have to trust the person, and it's not just jumping into a marriage or a wedding or whatever you want to call it, but they're not smart. Prenup is there, doing silly things, infidelity will cost you a lot of money.
You agree with the point that African men and African women, we should, I know that as I said, marriage is not a financial contract, but we should try and, as other races are doing, to keep the wealth in the African community. So if you look at like Tiger Woods or most of these big wealthy people that end up being divorced, they lose 50% or more of their estates to another race.
Because most of the time they lose everything because they're silly. They've done something very silly.
If they were with a black woman, for example, okay, let's just say you lose everything. The money still stay within the black community because that woman is going to raise your black children with it, and she might help one or two members of her family. Nobody is perfect. And just because you made some kind of silly mistake, that doesn't mean you deserve to lose everything. Like that footballer, Ebouye, for example, that man was on Twitter crying, talking about his experience, and just how he felt. That's his hard-earned money, coming from nothing to something, and then this woman ended up with everything.
Different. It's just because he wasn't educated, because he was signing papers. He had nothing. He wasn't educated, right? Because he was just signing off his money to the woman. Because, as he said, he did not know what he was saying. He couldn't read, so he did not know what he was signing. So we need to empower ourselves educationally. Just make sure we're smart when we're dealing with stuff. And for me, I just can't imagine trying to confine myself to one race. Maybe before when I was young, I used to do that, but I think I just have to be open-minded if I'm looking for a life partner. I just can't mentally think of just tying myself down to just one race.
How would you feel, if your child, if you have a choice, let me not even say if your child brings a white girl or girl from another, but if you have a choice, what would you prefer?
Can I say something?
Forget the whole thing of, yes, the child needs to be happy. Yes, that child can be happy with a black sister or another person. Let's forget that. If you really truly have a choice, deep down, all semantics aside, what would you prefer your child bring home?
The thing is, all semantics can't be aside at all, because if it's about a relationship, if it's about marriage, we can't put things there. So that question can't be empty. It can't be an empty question. If I look at the two girls, amazing girls, and he's spoiled for choice, let's assume. I think personally, I will look at the families. So for me, it won't matter the color of their skin. I'll look at the families, right? If he's spoiled for choice. Hopefully, he won't be in that situation where he's spoiled for choice. Hopefully, it'll be just one person. But I mean, we're all human, really.
My younger brother lived with me, and he started dating a Spanish girl. And at first, honestly, I wasn't it wouldn't have been my first choice for him. Obviously, my brother can't make his decision for him. I didn't know her very well, and it took a while. It took years actually for me to actually get to know her. And now I would not ask for anybody else, for him as a partner, because she's amazing. She's like my sister already. So I think for me, for my son, as Data said, if my son brings two women home, which I'm hoping he wouldn't, but in that situation, and there's an African girl and a black girl. For me, I would want from my not natural African instinct, I won't lie, I'll prefer an African girl because I can relate to her. I know where her family is from, you know. I know, you know, I would know.
Or you think you know?
I would think I know,
well.
yeah.
You
I would
think
think
you
I
know.
know her
Just
better.
because she's black and you know the color of her skin, and you know, okay, you're from Delta States, okay, assuming
From
she's
Delta
from,
State, I know where her, like, maybe
okay,
I know where
assuming
her
she's from, maybe she's from Lagos State, you know how Lagos people behave, but you know you can't generalize.
I cannot, but I'm saying,
you know,
when it comes to my choice, I would prefer that, but it will be really up to him.
right, let me just say something. Okay, your kid brings two different kind of girls home, and you don't. Your preference is all going to be for your selfish reason.
Yeah.
It's all about the kid. All
Yeah.
that is important is that she's happy with him. That's all I need. And she treats.
Yeah.
If that man don't treat my daughter right, I'll be involved.
Yeah.
All I want is her happiness and her well-being. So it doesn't matter. I need her to be happy and have a good home.
My first choice would be a black woman, an African woman, Sierra Leonean to be precise. However, if they cannot find their happiness there and they find their happiness anywhere else, I will accept it, because at the end of the day, what matters is that they are happy and they're loved. But deep down, what I would hope, what I would prefer, I hope they find their happiness in a black woman. That's me.
Excellent. Excellent. I think we can go on and on and on. I think this is all we have, all the time we have now for this segment. We're going to go for a short break now. And when we come back, we're going to discuss a topic, which is Africans and gay. See you in